Good morning, everyone. How you doing this morning? You doing okay? I apologize that I didn't get the Kroger ad review done yesterday, but it was just so busy yesterday and it was super rainy and I had to go pick up my prescriptions and they weren't quite done. And so I said, that's okay. I'll go shopping. Look at this. Now, I had a bunch of rewards. Um, I had a bunch of rewards at Tractor Supply, and so I got this rooster, and then I got the ghost rooster with the solar light that shines. So I got two roosters for our Halloween decor. I could go and repaint him, but I'll probably keep him out all year long anyway, so it doesn't matter. I really like him, but he's a skeleton. Isn't he cute? I absolutely love him. So we've got him on the rock wall with the rest of my little Halloween decor. And then we put the ghost one up on the old um, well pump platform. So I'll show him to you some other time. But I went and I had rewards stacked up. So I got me two Halloween roosters and I just love it. The little girl, I ended up paying like $2.85 for the two roosters and some mummy decorated pretzel rods for my granddaughter's Halloween box that I'm doing. Um, so once I got that, it was still not time for them to come back from lunch at the pharmacy. So I went over to Dollar Tree and I bought a bunch of little odds and ends to put into my granddaughter's Halloween box. So we're getting that ready and I'll be sending it out within the next week or two, or next week. I'll probably send it out next week. This weekend, I'm going to be looking for deals on candies and fun stuff for her. And I think she's going to really like this box. I need to find a box too. I don't know if I'm going to do, just a cardboard box or if I'll find her a tote so that way she can put all of her toys in it. A lot of times when I send my granddaughter um, her holiday boxes, I sometimes try to do it with a tote. So that way it gives them an extra tote for all of her stuff. As she gets older, she's got more and more stuff, and she can just throw all that stuff in a tote and put it in her closet or whatever. So I try to do that. Sometimes I don't, but most of the times I do. So anyway, we're shopping for Halloween for the granddaughter, and I just absolutely love it. My husband and I did get into some of the candy that I got her because there's plenty of candy, right? But anyway, so yesterday, Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, was in a hearing, an oversight committee hearing. And if you ever wanted to see a corrupt DOJ, this is seriously the most corrupt DOJ I believe we've ever had. You know, there were like lists of questions that she just did not answer. She deflected because she knew if she answered them, she would probably perjure herself. So I, that woman is the most evil woman I've ever seen in my life. To lie for Donald Trump, go at those senators with crap rather than answering the questions they were asking. So if you get a chance, go watch Pam Bondi in her oversight committee hearing that she was at. I mean, just the deflection alone is just enough to make you want to go in there and grab her. It's annoying because you hear Donald Trump. He talked about um, a corrupt DOJ all the time because they went after him, and now they're going after the people that went after him, but now they can't find anything to charge these people with because there's really nothing to indict them on or arrest them on. And you're seeing this big scramble in the DOJ, really having a hard time. The FBI is having a hard time because they can't answer your questions. Because if they answer their questions and they answer it yes, then we know that they've been lying all along. If they answer it no, and then when everything is released, then they will be perjuring themselves. So that's why they deflect and they don't answer any of the questions that the senators give them. She's just a nasty lady. Lady would not be the word. Well, I could use a different word. But anyway, I got up early this morning, heard Solomon treed, so I took my light out there, got up underneath the tree, and he had a little possum, a, a medium-sized possum treed up there. I think it was little Stinky, the little possum that I raised this past spring. So I put him up and then got Tashir and got their breakfast fed to him. And I just put Tashir back in her kennel and turned all the chickens loose, and he's still up in the tree. And I just hollered at him, little Stinky, you can come down now. Go find your spot. So hopefully he'll get down and go to sleep because, they're nighttime animals, nocturnals. All right. So let's talk about it. Okay. If you've ever noticed my necklace, this is Celtic. I really am into my Celtic ancestry. What they did, how they celebrated, what were their rituals, and I thought it would be a good time to kind of throw the Halloween thing in there since we've got our rooster. Um, I celebrate Samhain, and Samhain is Celtic, and it's the end of the harvest. To some, it's the beginning of winter, so it I celebrate Samhain on Halloween. I normally had jobs where I worked on Halloween, so I never really got to celebrate. So I would do my own little things before or after Halloween, depending on what days I was off work. Um, but this year, I'm really going to get into Samhain. I'm going to have a big bonfire. I'm going to do a ritual small fire and celebrate the end of harvest. Um, I think that's very important to keep our ancestry and our heritage. Um, a lot of people hate Halloween, and I don't. I love it. I think it's a great time. And to me, I think about how my ancestors in Scotland and Ireland celebrated Samhain. And this was before the invasion of the Romans, who brought Christianity to that area. Um, you know, they can call them pagans. Well, that's fine. But here's the deal, they weren't anything other than their own spirituality and ancient religious ceremonies for their own spirituality until the Romans came and brought Christianity. The Romans also had deities and gods. They also had celebrations and they also had rituals, and they intertwined Christianity because they adopted Christianity to take over the world. And so they would kill Celtic people, the Druids, anybody that wasn't Christian, or they would try to force them to be Christians. So when the Romans came to that part of the world, a lot of women moved into monasteries. Um, they didn't kill all of them. And so a lot of women said that they had converted. But what they did was they celebrated the Saint Mary, the Virgin Mary, as the mother goddess, and they could celebrate that in those churches and monasteries because they thought they were worshiping the the Virgin Mary when in fact they were using the Virgin Mary as the mother goddess. And so they continued a lot of their practices underneath the nose of the Roman Catholics. So there's a lot there to get into. But anyway, Samhain is the end of harvest, and then, like I said, in Ireland, it was the beginning of winter. So November 1st was the Celtic New Year. That's also my husband's birthday. I'm the 7th and he's the 1st. So it's kind of neat. But anyway, celebrating our ancestors was part of Samhain. Um, you you gave thanks for what you got in the harvest, and then you thanked your ancestors, and so the rituals went on. Also, they knew that this was the time when the veil was very thin between the real world and the spirit world. And one of the customs they did was dress their little ones, their children, like demons to confuse um, the bad spirits, the demons. So here are all these little demons running around, and it was supposed to confuse those that were supposed to be demons, spiritual demons. They would also mark their houses, their doors with blood. Now you got to remember that this was before Christianity moved in. And what did they do on the Sabbath? Um, in the Jewish religion, or Passover, Passover was a blood across the door. So it's kind of odd, don't you think, that during Passover there was blood on the door, and then here in Samhain, in the Celtic areas, they did the exact same thing. Romans sacrificed um, animals, but in Samhain they did sacrifice animals. They did sacrifice some of the harvest that they got to pay homage to, you know, uh, the gods, the mother goddess, whichever of the Celtic realm you were in. So I thought that was kind of interesting to find out that, that was a ritual not only in the Celtic area, uh, pre-Christian, to in the Jewish, as their religion. So just an interesting kind of connection there. Um, I did write down some notes just so I wouldn't get lost here. So the Romans who adopted Christianity, which the Roman Christians were the first Christians other than Jesus Christ group. Um, they they had pagan celebrations. So when you have Halloween, you have this mixture of Roman celebrations, Celtic celebrations. I don't like to call anyone a pagan because that was from Christians. Christians also, the Catholics, the Roman Catholics, we're going to call them Catholics because that was the original Christianity. So anything that was Protestant was named by the Catholic Church. Anything that was pagan was named by the Catholic Church. And so pagan was a bad word. If you were a pagan, you were bad, according to the early Christians of Roman Catholics. Um, it's just annoying to be called pagan because that's not what they call themselves. So when someone calls themselves a pagan, they're actually using a derogatory title given by the Roman Catholic Christians. Just like being a Protestant was a demeaning title given by the Roman Catholic Christians. So I don't call people pagans. I don't call myself a pagan. I'm very spiritual. And this Samhain, I'm going to do it on Halloween evening. I will have a fire. I will, celebrate my ancestors. I will not be sacrificing an animal or a human, but I will give some of my harvest, which will probably be whatever I grew, right? Okay, that's about it. I really want you to go watch Pam Bondi in her oversight committee hearing. Absolutely a disgusting, evil wench. We'll call her a wench. I wouldn't call her a witch because I think that would be derogatory to the witches. You all have a great day. Hugs from a distance. I've got to go jump in the shower, eat my breakfast, and then I've got to go to work. So, y'all have a great day. And we will practice Samhain this year. Bye, y'all.